All right, good afternoon. Standing, please. We are about to start our meeting. And we will start off with Rotarian Tamika.
I'm here, Chantel.
All right,
President.
I'll pull it up right now so that we can get started with the Rotary Grace, followed by the loyal toast.
Okay. We beseech thee, our Heavenly Father, to bestow thy grace upon this meeting as we enjoy our fellowship with one another. May we grow in stature so that we may be able to give more to our friends in Rotary, and in turn, give strength to the ideals of Rotary in the service of mankind. Amen.
Amen.
Please raise your glasses for a toast to the King and the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
The King,
Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Very good, Tamika. All right, thank you. Maybe you were close there to saying Queen. Very good, very good. All right, so apologies, I'm not usually in this role as MC, but our Sergeant decided to actually take a break for his birthday. That is allowed sometimes. So today, okay, so he's off celebrating his birthday today. So welcome to all of you. I know we do have a couple of visitors in person. So we start off with our visiting Rotarians. So ladies first, Madam Founding President, past President, Charter President.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Christine Van der Linde, Fields Van der Linde, and I'm visiting from the Rotary Club of Grand Bahama, the beautiful Rotary Club.
Oh, what's up? Welcome.
We started a club on a Saturday, and it's going quite good. And I'm happy to be here with you guys.
Thank you.
Good to have you, Christine.
Past President Valentino, I'm visiting the Rotary Club of South Ocean, and it's always a pleasure to be at the Rotary Club of Nassau.
All right.
Why did you start? You were also assistant area governor elect as the proper term?
Well, also happy to say that I will be serving in the role of assistant governor to the East Clubs next year, and I think Rotary Club with Nassau falls under the East Club, so I'm looking forward to working with this club and its incoming president, Darren Bates.
Thank you.
All right. Welcome.
All right, excellent. Do we have any visiting Rotarians online? Any Rotarians
Okay,
online?
yes, we do. We have.
This is Rotarian stuff.
I
Don't look so.
Don't look so.
Okay, all right then. So we'll go to our visitors then. I know Stephen has a visitor here. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Roberta McKenzie.
Okay, good to be here. Stephen Dane has sent a message to say he's on his way. Okay. Every week, I know, right? Because he has a visitor. I think that's why. Yes. So
Samita has a visit also.
right, Samita,
Can
can you introduce?
Yes, I'm excited about introducing my visitor. We both were supposed to be there in person, but circumstances beyond our controls prohibited us from being there. But I'm glad to introduce Erica Hamilton. She was in the house 15 or 10 minutes, I think, before time. So welcome, Erica.
Good job, Erica.
Thank you.
All right, welcome, Erica. And I actually have a guest here, Shaquille Johnson. He's here in person with us, so Shaquille can give a wave so they can see it. Thank you. All right, anyone else online visiting other than our guest speaker? I see Jamie Taylor. I don't know if Shelby is on, but Jamie is a guest of Shelby. Jamie, you want to say hello?
Hello, everyone.
All right, good to see you. Well, almost see you. We can virtually see you. Elle Claire, I think that may be a visitor as well. Because I think Elle Claire had actually.
Hello, hi.
I know we were communicating online, right? You had seen the Rotary Club Nassau and you're interested in attending.
Yes.
Okay, all right, good. I do hope you enjoyed the meeting today.
Thank you.
That may be it.
So she's your guest.
Yeah, she is my guest, yes.
Oh, hey, friend, hey, Madam Friend.
Yes, okay. All right, so I think that is it for our visitors. So thank you all. We appreciate you joining us today. Hope you do enjoy today's meeting, meeting with our members and also the presentation that we have today. My remarks are very brief because well, past President Valentino, I guess now to be called, right? He also has an announcement, so I'm going to let him make his announcement during the same time when I'm doing this. So Anita, returning Anita, she had to travel today, so she wasn't able to be here, but she wanted to let everyone know as a follow-on from the eyeglasses Vision Expo and Health Expo that we did in Cat Island. The eyeglasses are finally here in Nassau. So we have made arrangements to take them to Cat Island February 3rd to February 5th. So if anyone is interested in coming along, we need to know by this week so that we can make arrangements with hotel, etc. So that is happening on the 4th. We will actually be doing the distribution, but flights don't go on Saturday. So we'll be leaving on Friday and coming back on Saturday. Interested, you can reach out to me or you can reach out to Anita so that we can make sure that we have you scheduled if you want to take part in that. Okay, and we do have from our New Generations Education Literacy Committee, we are working with Rotary Club of the Bahamas for the debate that's happening with the high schools, and PP Valentino is here to bring us some information along those lines.
Thank you very much, President Chantel. I'm actually here to update you quickly about two events. One is the Rotary Clubs of the Bahamas Virtual Debate Competition, and the second is RILA. Yes, that's right, RILA is back. So first, beginning with the virtual debate competition, as President Chantel alluded to a while ago, we've been working very hard, thanks to great efforts by your very own director, Landra Russell, in planning the RCOB Virtual Debate Competition 2023. At the moment, we have 6 schools that have expressed an interest. Your very own Ellen Coakley, Interact Club will be participating along with SAC, Kingsway, Forest Heights, Ababaco, Government High, and Genesis. The preliminary round of the competition will be held on Saturday, February 4th. The semifinals will be held on March 18th and the finals on April 1st. So what do we need from you? Well, we need Rotarians, obviously, to assist with judging, moderating the debate, and of course, your support in attending and supporting these youngsters as they participate in this debate competition. I know that a flyer has been circulated with some Zoom links, and so we look forward to your participation and support with that virtual debate competition. Briefly moving on to the second big announcement, which is RILA. Of course, RILA is back after a 2-3 year absence because of the pandemic. The date is Saturday, March 4th. The venue is New Providence Community Center. And we're looking at an early start from 8:30 a.m. in the morning, and we hope to go no later than 4 p.m. We're asking again for your support and your participation. We've asked each club to sponsor no less than 10 students to RILA. And again, we solicit your participation and support on the day of RILA by either sponsoring students to attend or coming out to help and then support with the various activities. And of course, we've asked each club to ensure that their Early Act, Interact, and Rotaract clubs nominate students for the awards, because it's not just the program day, it is an awards program. And so we hope to be giving out youth leadership awards on that day for deserving Rotaractors, Interactors, and Rotaractors. So once again, we thank you, and we look forward to your support with these 2 Rotary Clubs of the Bahamas initiatives. Thank you, President.
Great, thank you, thank you. Any questions for PP Valentino before he steps down? Any questions?
What's the date again?
Okay, date for RILA or the debate?
For Rilo.
Okay, the mini RILA Saturday, March 4th. At the venue, New Providence Community Center. With a start time 8:30 a.m. with registration, and we look to go no later than 3:30 p.m.
All right, any other questions? Thank
Okay,
you.
all right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now move into our updates from the secretary.
Go ahead, Leah. I'm sorry.
She's unmuted.
Oh, she's coming up now. Go ahead, Leah.
Okay, Rita may be having trouble with her mic because I see she's unmuted, but we still can't hear her. I know we do still need persons to bring in their funds, excuse me, from the fundraiser. We had an excellent fundraiser on the 14th of January. But, you know, we had a good attendance. We now need to make sure that we get those funds in. So I know she wanted to make sure that that happened. We don't have the final report yet. We still have some information to come. So hopefully by next week, we should have the final report to let you know exactly how much we raised from the event. So those of you who still have tickets, etc., outstanding, funds outstanding, please do make sure you get them to either myself, the secretary, Charlene, or me. Any one of us you can get to so that we can close it out and make sure we get everything in that we need to get. Thank you. So with that, we will now move into our membership update, sir.
Okay, Leah was trying to speak. She wanted to know if we heard her, but
We're not hearing her, so I'm not sure what's happening with her microphone.
Leah, can you sign out and sign back in, please? Let's see if that's gonna make a difference. Well, in terms of membership, you would have all heard our Sergeant at Arms, who is actually traveling for the last couple of days with his darling wife, and we want to wish him a happy birthday. Of course, we miss him not today. Can you imagine? Come on, everyone, just say hello and happy birthday to Wayne. Come on, everyone, at least give him a wave. We can see you on the screen. At least give Wayne a wave. Let him know we miss him. Good to have all of you here today. I also want to say, listen, we have a raffle that is here. And two things in membership, three things. The first thing is we have a beautiful, is it a humidifier? We have a humidifier for the raffle today. We're gonna have persons come around to sell our raffle tickets. Come on, you can't come to Rotary without getting a raffle ticket to get this wonderful humidifier. He's gonna do that, and we have our what's that? 1 for 5, 3 for 10. It's not there, but it's ticket. 1 for 5, 3 for 10. 1 for 5, 3 for 10, and of course we have Shanta. Can you reach that calendar for me, please? We just have a couple more calendars for our members. If you are a member of Rotary, you must have your calendar. Please ensure that you pick up your calendar. We have 1 for 15, 2 for 30. 1 for 15, 2 for 30. So if you haven't gotten your calendar, please pick up your calendar today. If you are online and you haven't got the calendar, be unique. You have to get 2 calendars. You can't just get one. One for you and one for someone else. Steve, you was raising your hand in the back. Did I see a hand? Okay, good. I just making sure. I saw your hand go up in the back there. And then of course, finally, Rotary Club of Nassau celebrated 61 years, and we have made a commitment in membership to grow Rotary RCN by 20%. So we are asking persons to invite, and I'm so happy to see Samita invited someone, Chantel invited persons, and of course, and Stephen invited. So we are all on a mission to invite new persons to the wonderful club. So next week, we're gonna have, who's at the back? Sandra's gonna invite a couple of persons. Joan is gonna, 2 persons. And who is that over there? Who's that? Is that Miss Claire?
Yes,
Is that you, Claire? You and your pearls. Look at you and your pearls. You look so nice in your pearls. I just love it. Listen, so great, ladies and gentlemen, do this wonderful club to be, as we did a few years ago, to be the fastest growing club in Rotary. Can we do it? Yes, we can. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy. Thank you so much. I was just reminded by our president that if you haven't given your buddy their gift, please use this time to give your buddy their gift. We still have another, make sure to get it before the end of January. Okay, Catherine? Did you give your buddy a gift? I'm your former buddy. So give your former buddy a gift. I just said, Sheila, I was expecting a gift from Sheila today. All Sheila brought is mail. She didn't bring me no gift. I'm looking for a gift from you, Sheila. Just because I'm a buddy. I'm a good buddy. Enjoy your week.
Should I play the birthday song?
Play the birthday song. Come on. Play the birthday song.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
My
birthday, come again. My birthday, come again. My birthday, come again. How old am I now? My birthday, come again. My birthday, come again. My birthday, come again. So I can party all night.
Thank you so much, Christine. That was wonderful. Cassius, as you can see, Mrs. Stewart, we have a wonderful time here at the Rotary Club of Nassau. And for those who are visiting, become a Rotarian because you can impact the lives of so many other people. Enjoy the rest of your meeting.
All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So Maxine, I did get your note that our speaker said he may need a couple more minutes. So we will now go right into the introduction of our speaker so that we can give him maybe 5 more minutes during his presentation. So you can go ahead, Maxine.
Thank you very much, Madam President. So I am going to try to sum up the speaker in as few minutes as I possibly could, because he has a very rich life and CV. So Cassius Stuart has a Master of Arts degree in Business Administration from Nova Southeastern University. He got his bachelor's from Tennessee State, and he got his associates from Miami-Dade College. He serves on a number of boards, including Carib Med Limited and Brickell Management Group, Shore Global Med Jamaica, and Qantas Group. He has received a number of awards over the years, and he's also involved in many things, including Sigma Beta Delta Honor Society, United National Goodwill Ambassador, and he has received the Most Distinguished Youth Award. He's participated in multiple things over the time of his life, short life, and some of those include the CARICOM Youth Summit, Caribbean Youth Summit, a UN NGO Summit in Suriname, the ICPPD Summit in the Netherlands, an ICPPD UN General Assembly in New York, and the list goes on. I don't want to shortchange him, but he just has so much going on. I think most of us remember him as the leader of the Bahamas Democratic Movement. There are more than 2 parties in our country, and he currently serves since 2000, so that's the past 23 years, as the leader of the BDM. Cassius is also the president and CEO of Blue Sky Solutions, president and CEO of Carib Med Limited. He's the president of Professional Business Consultants, Global Communication Limited, and the co-owner and president of Computer Assembly. He's married to Dr. Charmaine Stewart, has 4 beautiful children, and he is an author and publisher as well of 2 books. I only have 1. I got 1 from him before, but I need to get the other one. His interests include wildlife, gardening, photography, reading, and public speaking. Drum roll, please. Let's welcome Cassius Stuart to speak to us today on the topic. What's the topic again? The business side. He isn't here to speak on politics. He's here to speak on business and finance and economics today, right? And I guess helping us with navigating the economy. Thank you. Creating wealth for the next generation of Bahamians. I appreciate that. So welcome to Rotary Club of Nassau, Cassius.
Thank you so much, everybody. It is so much a pleasure to have an opportunity to speak to you. Happy New Year, everyone. And I would have loved to be there in person. When Maxine asked if I could come and speak, I said I would love to, but Maxine, I can't walk. She said, what happened? Of course, I broke my foot, so I'm kind of a little incapacitated, but I would love to still be able to speak with you guys on the great possibilities of the future of the Bahamas. And I think we are at the precipice of some new beginnings. And I think this dialogue will be able to, I guess, prick and spark some of your interest. I had a long presentation, Maxine tell me my 2-hour presentation is only 15 minutes. So I figure, let me just talk to you. Most of you all may know me, some of you may not know me, but we all know that the history of all economies has moved from the agrarian economy, it moved into the industrial economy, then moved to service-based economy, and then moved directly into what we call the knowledge-based economy. And that's where we are now. The Bahamas is basically being built on the service-based economy. That is, we have been built on tourism and financing. And from the 1930s, our tourism sector has been built from the UBP time to where it is now. The challenge we have now as a nation that is 50 is dissecting and really analyzing where we are as a people. When you look at our country over 50 years, our national debt is $11 billion. Our GDP is shortly under that, so our debt service ratio is more than 100%. When you look at our recurring deficit, it's more than what, 700 million? And so right now, when we dissect our country and juxtapose it as to where we're supposed to be, we need to take some serious introspective and look at the way forward. The topic of this dialogue is creating wealth for the new generations of Bahamians. And so when I thought about this topic, I wanted to say, how can I then bring on what we have now and juxtapose it as to what we have to gain in the future? And right now, it is important for us to know where we are right now. Our country is at some serious crossroads, and we have to make some serious decisions in the next 50 years because the National Insurance Pension Plan is almost depleted. The country has more debt than we have income. And as the next generation, do we pass on debt to the next generation or we pass on wealth to the next generation? And we're going to dissect how do we get access to that wealth so we could pass that on to the next generation. So obviously what we're saying is the present economic system that we have right now is not sufficient to sustain the next 50 years of Bahamians, because it was the central bank governor that said that 90% of everybody who holds a bank account in the Bahamas, 90% have less than $500 in it, 90%. With that being said, after 50 years of an independent nation, as a democratic nation, all the investments we've had, Bahama, Atlantis, The Point, I can name them all, 90% of everybody got less than $500 in the bank account. So the question is the business model that we have today working? Is it working for some or it's not working for the masses? And so these are the questions we have to begin to challenge ourselves and say, how we, the leaders of the next generation, I'm not just talking about political leaders, I'm talking about economic leaders, civic leaders, how we, the leaders of the next generation, have to begin to put things in place so that our children and our children's children can inherit an even better Bahamas than we have today. And so we're going to explore this, and I'm going to have fun exploring it. And listen, if you all want to ask any questions, please feel free. The next step in moving for the next 50 years, I believe, it's not in the Bahamians being consumers. As you know, everything about the Bahamas is more consumer-based. We bring imports in, we don't manufacture anything, and the whole business model is we consume. I think, though, in order for us to become successful for the next generation, the next model should be more investors. And I'm going to explain more of that because right now there are some things in play in the region that is going to blow your mind. We need Bahamians, particularly the next generation, to switch from consumers to becoming more investors, not just in the Bahamas, but beyond our borders. Remember now, all the success and all the resources you need and we need is not necessarily in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Success and the resources are outside of our borders. And so we have to begin to train the next generation of Bahamians about money management, about how to properly utilize money and how to properly invest money. What we've been teaching what our children learn a lot is how to consume money. And consumption of money is good when you have more than when you have a lot to consume. But if you don't have much and you're consuming, you will always be at point zero. And so I believe now that the economic model that we should shape is how do we now begin to train the next generation to embrace what is ahead of them. I'm not sure most of you all know the story of Guyana, but I'm going to introduce you all to it. Guyana, 3 years ago, was the third poorest country in CARICOM. Of course, they are a member of the CARICOM community and Caribbean, but also a part of South America. The interesting story, the reason why I'm going to talk about Guyana is because 2 years ago, Guyana discovered a catchment of oil in their waters, valued at $1 trillion. Guyana is now positioned to become the Saudi Arabia of the CARICOM and the region and Central and South America. It is also beginning to position themselves to become the major player in the region. And so from becoming the poorest country to the richest country overnight, there's a lot of things being happening now. And there's a lot of opportunities for investment. And so when I say we have to train the next generation of Bahamians to be investors, here is a very, very fertile ground for becoming investors beyond our borders. You notice one thing about Bahamian businesses, we don't really export out of the Bahamas. You have the Breezes, which is a big Jamaican-based business. You have the Sandals, which is a Jamaican-based business. But it very rarely you will see a Bahamian-based franchise around the world. I know Bamboo Shack was experimenting with that, and we just want to continue encourage them to do that. But we need to create a generation of Bahamians that thinks beyond the borders of the Bahamas. And this is where the success lies. So the wealth of the next generation of the Bahamas is not necessarily in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, but we have to position young Bahamians of how to go ahead and train and get that. Now, here you have a country that is developing, which was far less advanced than ours. What do we have to offer? How do we get access to some of that wealth? $1 trillion, mind you. I would need to remind you that China, Russia, the US is already lined up to get access to some of this wealth. India is now providing military resources. China is providing technical resources, and America is saying, I just want to be your friend. Okay? Now, as Bahamians, how do we now, as a member of the CARICOM community, benefit from the wealth that is now being produced within our borders? Part of the problem is that Bahamians need to begin to think global. We have to move from thinking local and start to think global. And this is where training comes in. You who are Rotarians, you are perhaps leaders in your own sphere, leaders in your own dimension and in your communities. It is time for you to begin to teach your children, teach those younger than you, and even yourself. How do we get out of the perimeters of the Commonwealth, going into the region, into Jamaica and St. Lucia, into Guyana, and going to being able to pull some of the resources? The Prime Minister said yesterday that he wants to build the agriculture sector. Now, there are some things where they have a competitive advantage. Some islands in the Caribbean have a better competitive advantage than us in growing certain crops. Then why don't we lease those lands and so that we can grow the crops in those islands to be able to feed ourselves and also feed the region? And so these are some of the small points that we want to point on and point to so that we can begin to prepare to make the next step. 50 years as an independent nation, and 90% of everybody who holds a bank account get less than $300. So I keep repeating that, but I want you to know where we are now after 50 years. We cannot make the same mistakes in the next 50 years because most of us right now are so ineligible for pension. Maxine may be eligible for pension, so on and so on. But the problem is that the pension plan in national insurance is threatened because there is no money. There was a major drain during COVID-19, which we didn't prepare for. And so because there is no resources, we have to be and look at how do in the next 50 years, the wealth is also there to preserve the pension plan for its citizens. And so I am concerned, but I'm also excited because I know that the opportunity exists. There have been many quantum leaps in our lifetime. Most of us was not around during the Industrial Revolution when there was a great quantum leap. And of course, industries came on stream and manual labor became a thing of the past. Everything was automated. The next quantum leap was we had the advent of the computers where we have the internet access, where now we don't have to walk to the library to get access to a book. We can now just type in on Google and everything comes up. I want to add to what I'm saying in global investment with the embracement of the new technology. Rotarians, we are at another quantum leap today. The new quantum leap we are at now is what they call AI, artificial intelligence. And many of you may not know it, but many of you may not know it, but most of your jobs, if you are a lawyer, if you are perhaps an accountant or whatever, your jobs will become a thing of the past because augmented reality, artificial intelligence will take the place of your job. The first revolution threatened the job of the lower level workers, the blue collar workers, in the Industrial Revolution. Now with artificial intelligence, I could tell the artificial intelligence to write me a paper, a 5,000 words paper, and it gives me that in 5 seconds. So do we need teachers? Do we need lawyers? Do we need this? So all of these quantum leaps that we are now embracing, it's how do we use it for the maximization and the benefit of Bahamians for the future. And so we have Guyana in the south that is now producing oil at the tune of $1 billion that they're producing. They'll be producing 1 million barrels a year, which is far surpassing the production of Kuwait. On the other hand, in America now, the new technology is artificial intelligence now. Artificial intelligence is changing and will change the way you know how to do everything. So tomorrow is going to be a total different ball game. If we don't begin to change our children, train our children, and prepare them to embrace these future opportunities, we will become, or stay in the third world, like we've been saying. Because what was happening now is that every time there's a quantum leap, for those countries that don't embrace those quantum leaps, they're 20, 30 years down the line in terms of development. Right now, the world is, China has totally digitalized their currency. Everything is automated payments. There is no cash in China anymore. Very rarely they use cash. We're still fooling around with cash in the Bahamas. In the US, soon over there, they'll embrace the digital dollar and so on. We are now also in that same space. The question is now, when the next leap comes, are we holding on? Not just governments, but we need our citizens. We need the bright minds and Rotarians, the entrepreneurs to embrace what's going on. We need our entrepreneurs to set a thing down, and how do we now access some of the wealth in Guyana? Do we go down there and buy land to create gated communities for the rich and the wealthy who wants to go down there? Do we go down there and offer expertise in medicine and technology and electrician and wherever we have that we can lend to them so that Bahamians can now repatriate some of that money back home? And so the wealth is there. The wealth is now there for us. The question is, how and will we take advantage of it? How and will we take advantage of the new wealth in Guyana? How and will we take advantage of the wealth or the wealth that AI brings? One time ago, you could, in order to build a website, I had a company that used to build a website. It was $25,000 to $5,000 for a website. Now, artificial intelligence can build you a website in 10 seconds for free. And so what I'm saying to you is now, the things that used to be a hurdle for most layman people is no longer a hurdle. And so if you don't know how to write code, artificial intelligence could write you a code for any program, anytime, for anything you want in 2 seconds. And so this new technology, we have to now insist that every Bahamian child have an opportunity to learn it, embrace it, and figure out how do we monetize it for them and the future generations of Bahamians. And so I'm excited. Of course, I'm the one, I've been in the forefront of technology for a little while. I'm getting ready to buy my ticket to go down to Guyana now to see how I can invest. And I just want to encourage you guys who are perhaps leaders in this community, who are in the forefront of their business, who are a part of the move and the leap for the next 50 years. Let's not let the wealth of the Bahamian future generation be dependent on whether or not a politician could smile on you. And that's what has happened. Most Bahamians, we depend on whether or not a politician could give us a contract or give us something. And that is basically a thing of the past. We need to know that in the knowledge-based economy, a knowledge-based economy is where the intellectual capacity determines the wealth of the people. And so you now are not using your hands, or you're not waiting for somebody to do something for you, or whatever political colors you're wearing. It's your intellectual capacity is now determining your wealth. And when your intellectual capacity determines your wealth, there is no glass ceiling, because intellectual people who are displaying this intellectual capacity surpass whether you are male or female. So there's no gender bias in this. It's basically surpassing the glass ceiling, surpassing all the stereotypes. And so we have to now use this intellectual capacity, whether it's getting more into literature, writing, and so on, whether it's being able to speak to perhaps a new generation of young people who are rising in the Caribbean. And it's a part of making sure that we can embrace these changes and these challenges. But I'm excited. I'm excited because I know that each and every one of you understand what it takes to become successful, because most of you are already successful, whether you own your own business or you work for somebody, or you know what it takes. And so moving forward for the next generation, it is going to be a challenge, but it's going to be great. And so I believe that in the same way we could teach our young children to invest, we got to teach them how to partner, and we got to work together as one common unit. The problem with us as Bahamians and as dark-skinned people is we have an issue when it comes to working together. Success can only come if we work together and partner together. We have to build the Commonwealth of the Bahamas together. That's why the preamble or the coat of arms is forward, upward, onward, together. It's togetherness that brings us strength. It's togetherness that brings us together. And that future access, that future wealth can only come if we operate as one single unit. And one single unit in mind, thought, and in deed. And let us begin to look forward to the future, because the future is there to be embraced. Now, I can go on for another 15 minutes, but I'm going to stop right here. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer your questions.
Yeah, I have a question, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Cassius, you said we all have to work together, all us Bahamians, all us dark Bahamians. It seems you're separating Bahamians into dark Bahamians and non-dark Bahamians, which rather goes against your concept of working together. Do you have any comment on that?
Yes. No, don't get me wrong. It's not that I was trying to separate it. I was just speaking to a certain demographics and showing how they need to work together. And the problem with us is that we need unity across the Bahamas, but I was not segregating. I probably misspoke in how the way it came across. But the essence of what I was trying to say is that we need to all come together. And once we come together, sometimes, us as darker skin colored people, we seem to not like to work together. And so it was not to segregate it, but to try to encourage us to come together as one. And once we do that, I believe that success is not impossible for us. It goes to the fact that, I've seen it many times in business, and even in my own business, is that sometimes we start out and then we break away and so on. But if we could find that common thread to stick together, to work together, and bringing all Bahamians together, we will be the best country in the world. But if I came across a little wrong, I'm sorry. It wasn't mean to separate any race, but I was just speaking specifically to one race in that point.
Okay, well, just to talk about togetherness and dark-skinned Bahamians in the same sentence just struck me as a little bit strange.
Yeah, I do apologize if it didn't come across all right, but I was just speaking specifically to the dark-skinned Bahamians because I want them to understand what unity is like.
And also, I would say that I don't think there is anything that white-skinned Bahamians do or don't do that dark-skinned Bahamians do or don't do. I really don't see a difference.
Well, I mean, like I said, we still have a lot to learn, but I think it's that word togetherness. It's how do we now all work together for the common good. 50 years we're here, and for the next 50 years, how that's going to look. Are we going to build a stronger country together, or are we going to remain segregated, or are we going to just flirt together? But I think that the stronger our grip is, the better it is for us as a nation.
Cassius, I can only agree with you. I think it's a wonderful thing what you said. I totally agree with you. I was just calling you out on that one point.
Yes. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
That's Tony?
Yes, that's me.
Yes, sir.
I have a question.
Yes.
Who's
Who's asking?
Rotary and Tamika here.
Hi, Tamika.
My question to you is, I know that you would have said very often in terms of the amount of savings, which is the truth. We've seen statistics on it that persons have less than $1,500 in their bank accounts, right? And that we need to change our mindset. And so what are we as a or what angle are we as a Bahamian people doing to make sure that this change can happen? I know I've seen some strides towards persons getting, or we could talk about how persons talk about in violence, you start from the home. So where are you at? Where is the starting point? It's the starting point. Let's start talking in the primary schools. You know, we always talk about schools, don't talk about finances and investing as much as they should. And so what's your take on that?
Well, you know, I've been mulling this point over for many years because the governor of the central bank has been saying that, you know, we need to save more, we need to save more. The challenge is when you're only making $200 a week and your bills is $500 a week, how do you save? And so it is a challenge for many, many people to be able to get over that hump. You know, the question is then, you know, how do we be able, the issue is they know what their expenses are because expenses are always fixed. It's that revenue that's a variable. Their income is basically low. How do they get their income over their expenses? And that comes in constantly trying to make yourself better so that you can prepare yourself for a better job. And so we have to give those the opportunity to make themselves, or the encouragement to make themselves better so that they can position themselves for a better paying job. But also too, it's about embracing the new opportunities. And so right now, like I keep saying, that within this sphere of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, there are only certain jobs available, with bearing in mind that the cost of living in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas is very high. And so to live in the Bahamas is very high, but then the jobs pay is still low. And so, but it is a challenge for us as a nation to be able to take a person who perhaps did not graduate at the top of their class and at a 1 point something, and give them the same salary as somebody who's producing more. And so this is where what I believe that we need to do is what they call re-education. We need to open up the schools again from 4 o'clock to 9 o'clock, and then ask us, who perhaps among the intellectuals, to come and help some of these students to reshape their skills so that they could sharpen the sword, so that when the time comes for them to be able to execute, they're at top of their game. You know, for me, I can speak for myself. You know, I wasted a lot of time in high school, and I saw myself wasting time, and I caught myself in the grade 11 and grade 12 where I began to embrace. But then there's a lot of kids who graduated me did not do that. And so, but now after you leave school, you say, you know, I shouldn't have wasted time. You know, I really wish I had that opportunity. And so can we give them that opportunity to go back and correct some wrongs as it relates to education so that they could make themselves better? Yes, BTVI is there, but only so much they could hold. But at 3 o'clock, you got schools all across the Bahamas that are empty. And if you could open up a voluntary program to be able to reteach the English and math and so on, because you just need to give them that skill, because a job, the job manager or the boss ain't gonna pay you if you don't have the skill set or you don't have the education to be able to demand certain salary. And so that's the challenge we have, right? That's one of the challenges. And so the other issues is that we got to begin to teach our children money management in primary school. All throughout our grade school, the curriculum never teaches you about money management, understanding money, what is money, you know? And so we got to begin to use it as a part of the curriculum so that the young people, when they look at the money, it's not just for consumption. Money is also for investment. And so once we teach them that, then they look at money differently. And so once we do that, I believe that that'll be perhaps the seed that begin to take us out of this, I guess, debt-ridden situation that we're in.
I think that's a good point. Just a follow-up question. I know persons have other questions. Do you see that's happening? We know that that needs to be done, but do you see where that's in the works, where we're trying to get it into the primary schools? Do you see that happening?
I believe if we sit and wait for government, it'll never happen. But I do believe, though, as a civic society, as NGOs, as private citizens, we can insist that it happens. And so we have to be able to perhaps, I guess, write the curriculum. Somebody write the curriculum and present it to the minister. And then we have a petition where 100,000 of us sign and say, this is what we want in our schools. And they will have no choice to make it happen. But if we sit and wait for them to do it, it ain't gonna never happen because 50 years now, it ain't happened yet. So don't expect for it to happen. But I believe there was one of the things I do believe though is that in the Bahamas, we sit and we try to wait for the politician to lead us. The part of the problem is the politician needs to be led because they don't know what they're doing. Just remember now, being elected don't make you smart, or being elected don't make you a leader or a visionary. You just elected. And now when you're elected, then what? And so, but we depend on them now that you're a leader, lead us, and they be like, well, I ain't too sure where we going. And so, but the challenge is though is we need to partner with government, as civil society, as leaders, as NGO, as corporate organizations to say, listen, this is the direction I think in which we should go. And I believe that once we do that, we'll become a successful country. Our dependence too much on the politician in the Bahamas is caused us to almost be retired in terms of development and growth. If that answered your question. Any other question?
Thank you very much, Mrs. Stuart, for your question. There is your presentation. There is a question here from Mr. Curry. It reads this like this. Where did it go? Somebody just took it off. Mrs. Sebastian, could you state your question if it's just removed from the chat?
Okay, all right, my apologies. Yes, so I agree with Mr. Stuart in terms of the country needs to stick together and unify with one another in order to propel the country forward. But we've been beating this horse for many years, and it's difficult, you know. And the only time the country came together in history, which was the Majority Day, you know. But there has to be some catalyst or a glue that can spark or intrigue Bahamians, whether white, black, or nations, nationalities, for them to come together to do something for the country, you know. And my concern is what will be that catalyst.
Thank you, Mr. Curry. I think the catalyst is leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. And I think it is that leadership that will drive us to move in a direction that is progressive and that is beneficial to most of the Bahamians. The issue is that, you know, the direction in which we've been going has been on a 5-year stint, and we've been moving in circles for a long time. We need to look at a clear direction for the next 50 years. So the next move or the next presentation from the leaders should be, this is how the next 50 years of the Bahamas is going to look. It's a dynamic proposal. It can be changed, but this is how the next 50 years is going to look. And so once you lay that out as it relates to agriculture, how are we going to make sure we have 5 million tourists, 7 million tourists every year, 400,000 citizens. So we have 5,400,000 people every year on this island, on these islands. All right, how do we feed them? Okay, we're going to look at by segmenting the country by islands, whether it's Long Island, Cat Island, which can grow the best possible crops. For those islands that cannot grow crops, we have excess land. Do we do vertical farming, hydroponics? Do we make sure go into this type of farming so that we can be able to grow the onions and the tomatoes and the peas? We spend almost $1.3 billion on agriculture products every year. How do we then supplement that by growing our own food? So within the next 50 years, a proper agriculture plan needs to be outlaid, okay? To embrace the new AI technology that I just talked about. Our educational system cannot be the same. Because if you don't integrate code learning and computer systems from primary school, we will be left behind. So the educational system over the next 50 years has to be a more technical, savvy-driven system where our kids don't more carry books no more. It's all iPads and all technologically driven, smart boards and so on. Integrating the parents together as the kids learn, the parents are integrated automatically. And so the next 50 years is an exciting if we embrace the challenges ahead, as it relates to tourism. It's going to be exciting. The Bahamas is perhaps one of the best places in the world to have what we call edutourism. We have tourists come to the Bahamas for relax and leisure all the time. But in the cold climates, there are scores of people who would love to be stretched out on the beach in the Bahamas, knowing that they're in the University of the Bahamas. So it has to be a part of what we're doing. Healthcare. Right now, the healthcare system is known as, and I'm be careful how I say this, but young people and people think that when they go to the hospital, ain't nothing good to come out of that, right? That should not be. Our healthcare system should be number one. And so the whole underlying crux of the next 50 years should be guided by one word: excellence. Excellence in healthcare, excellence in education, excellence in the public sector, excellence in agriculture, excellence in investment. It has to be excellent. This has to become the cleanest country in the world. How do we do that? It's all about the shift. So the prime minister needs to say to the nation, the next 50 years, this is going to be the shift. Excellence is going to be driven by everything we do.
Great, thank you so much. We do need to continue on with that program, but we do have a parking lot if you don't mind staying on after we close the meeting. So if there are any additional questions, they can be posed to you. So
sure.
Thank you. I'll now call on Maxine to do the official thanks to you for your presentation today.
Wow. Thank you very much for really, I guess, getting us thinking in terms of our economic future and that of other generations of Bahamians. You did an excellent job as expected. And even like you said at the beginning, I wish we did have more time to really delve into it and to have like a deeper back and forth on it, because I'm sure that there are others on the call as well who have much to add, and we could perhaps come up with more, but this was a very good start. So thank you very much for coming and speaking to Rotary Club of Nassau today. I have to tell everybody that ambitious Cassius Stuart, from I met him in the 90s, we did the National Youth Parliament together. If I'm not mistaken, that might have been, to my knowledge, the initial or first, or what is it called? I don't remember what it's called. When you have the first something, I'm having a blank moment. But we did that together, and that's where I met Cassius in National Youth Parliament as two young parliamentarians, and he's still been at it in terms of his commitment to helping to make the Bahamas a better place. And I know that that comes from his heart. And so continue to do what you can to train all of us. And you make very good points that we could put into practice, even as parents, in terms of our children and just being consumers versus investors. And so thank you for getting us thinking. He has written 2 books. And so what I'm going to do is try to connect with him, yes. And so I have my copy too, like I said, and we'd want to make sure that other Rotarians get theirs. And so we'll connect with him so that we could have some available to the Rotary Club of Nassau and others, whoever may want to purchase, so that we could read more of what his thoughts are and of course support local authors. And so thank you very much, Cassius. Thanks again.
Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to speak. I appreciate each and every one of you, and God bless.
Okay, and you're not here in person, but you would have gotten a nice, lovely mug. So I'll make sure Maxine gets it to you along with the certificate for presenting to us today. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, so Catherine, over to you for our raffle, find all that stuff. I guess to get some money. Thank you. Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. So now we've come to a very important part of our meeting. Church, offering time is a very important time in the service. This is a very important time in our meeting when we're going to get some funds. And we're going to start with the fines. So all of you who came in after 1 o'clock today, you're fine. Nobody's exempted. No past presidents are exempted. So if you entered the doors,
Bring the money.
You're fine. Don't let me start calling.
Bring the money.
You know who you are. Those persons there, that person there, that person back there, all the way back there. You're fine for coming in late. All right?
How much are they fined?
$5 each, Jamal. Can you collect from?
Thank you very much.
You get fined. You get fined if I ain't show up to the meeting. All right, so that's the first fine. Now, did everyone get a raffle ticket? Did everyone get a raffle ticket?
Don't forget those zone people who came in late too. Exactly.
And you tell me who they are.
Some people, they know who they are.
So I'm asking today a therapy experience. Ultrasonic aroma diffuser, very nice. Inside the room, the table, Shabab, you fine.
Tell it.
We are going to actually ask for happy dollars today. Guys, happy dollars is another way that we can make funds. We can raise funds for our club to assist with the polio. And the last time we did polio, the happy dollars was November 27th, and it was very successful. So today, persons online at the meeting today, I want you to just come or just stand up and say what you're happy for and how much you're giving for being happy. I will start to say that I am happy to be here, and it's actually a $20 happy for me because I've not been well, suffering from a bulging disc in my back, and I'm now receiving treatment for my chiropractor. Thank God I'm here today, standing on the promises.
Wow. Yes.
Hallelujah.
Yes.
Hey.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
Good
so that's
stuff.
$20 for me. That's
Right.
my happy $20. I'm here today.
Christy.
I feel great, and I'm only gonna get better. So happy dollars, let's bring it on.
I just have a happy dollar because I'm happy to be here with all of my Rotarian brothers and sisters.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Listen, I'm happy just because Christine and Valentino came to this other visitor, so I have some other money to put in there for happy dollar. Just because we have visitors today.
Very good,
I'm
very
happy.
good.
Just a new. New members. That's right.
Happy dollars.
Happy dollars, because I'm happy I was able to make it in person today.
Yeah. You know, they're happy because you give me $2 happy dollars to be able to. I'm sharing the happy dollars. Anybody else happy in the room? Anybody online is happy for anything? Happy to be online.
Come on, anybody online? Good to have them.
Happy for life.
Sebastian said he's happy for life. How much you gonna give?
Oh, it's something to give?
Yeah. We
I
don't
didn't
give-
get that part. I'm currently on the road. My apologies. I guess I'll match that, which was $20. I think I heard.
Very good.
Good stuff. Good.
Think of me, don't let me send the post to yours. $20. Good stuff. Okay, anybody else happy? Online? You know.
I'm looking for Mark. Mark, what are you happy about? We have Mark and Austin. What are you all happy about today? Who else we have on?
I guess we'll know for next week.
Come on. Shelby, what are you happy about? Drop something in here that you're happy about.
I could volunteer.
Go ahead, Tony. I was coming to you next. Go
Oh,
ahead.
right. Now, look, I mean, I will donate $20, but you're not going to get it till I'm at the next live meeting, which hopefully be next week.
Thank you.
So what I'm happy about is I'm happy that things are never so bad, they can't get worse.
Tony, that was a good joke.
That was a good joke as well.
Listen, we are almost up to $100 in happy dollars. If I've counted correctly, that's at least 65, 8, at least $70. Check. We want to make at least $100 in happy dollars. So come on, who else we have here is going to give us another $10 of happy? Oh, we have 5. Come on, how much you got? How much is that?
Thank you.
75 plus this? That's $75. That's $80.
Raffle tickets.
All right.
Very good.
We only have, how much we have left?
$20.
We have $20 left. Who else is happy on Zoom? Who else is happy? We're gonna collect $100 today. Who else is on? Who would like to express their happiness today?
I'll send it later. You can put the break.
The 20 is coming from Stephen. What are you happy about, Stephen?
happy, but just seeing all your smiling faces.
Yeah.
Have you gone friend of the Stuart? So we made our goal.
We made it over. That's good. That's good.
Very good. Okay, now it's time for our raffle. So I'm going to ask our guest in the room, can you come and select our winning raffle? Yes, ma'am. This way. That way.
Yeah, the big one. Look at it.
You see, this is a fun. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Got it? Thank you very much. Okay, so 019 1. See some faces dropped. 4 0 019 140.
Christy. Like, just bought that ticket.
We know the prize. Thank you.
And that's the truth. Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much for getting some money to the kitty. Appreciate that. All right, so Tino, I don't see Craig online, so can you lead us in the four-way test and the rotary codes, please?
All right. Let's stand as we do our four-way test. And I think we had a good test of that today. Just reminding those who are online, if you came on after 1, don't forget to put in your fine of $5. And for those of you who are online, please make sure that it's done along with those in person. So see, we have a couple of other visitors on. Okay, here's our four-way test. Let's all say it together. Of the things we think, we say or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And of course, will it be fun? And it was fun. Let's raise our glasses to the king. And the Rotary around. Yeah, Rotary around the world.
Rotary around the world.
We have to do it.
So if there are any questions for Mr. Stuart, so you can be seated, thank you, official adjourned. But you know, we do have a parking lot at the end of our meeting, so I know Mr. Stuart is still on. So if there are any questions that we didn't get to immediately following his presentation, now is the time, if you have questions, to ask him, please.
Yes. Any other questions? Mrs. Stewart, can you leave your contact in the chat, please, so we can reach out to you?
Sure, I will.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, so I guess if they have any questions, we'll make sure I get those to you to get responses. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Cassius,
Yes, sir.
Brian, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And like I say, I appreciated what you said, particularly taking note of the GDP and the sovereign debt. My understanding is that we have a workforce in the Bahamas of about 100,000, maybe a little bit less. My understanding is also that maybe up to 35,000 of our workforce either work directly for government or work for government state-owned enterprises. I think this is a huge burden on the Bahamian economy. It sucks up a lot of the money that's produced by the private sector. But I don't see what sort of solution there can be to this problem. I wondered if you had any thoughts on that.
Well, you know, we've created a workforce that the ultimate goal is to work for the government to become P&P, permanent and pensionable.
Yes.
And you know, but when they get into the public sector, they realize that all is not all roses. You know, we have to begin to train a new generation to think about entrepreneurship, about starting new operations and new businesses. Because this country will never grow if we don't create or strengthen the small business sector, which is fueled by entrepreneurship. And you know, I believe that if we can begin to don't play lip service to entrepreneurs, but begin to service them and give them the tools they need, I believe that, you know, we would begin to see some of the hemorrhaging decrease and some of the burden that you talked about also decrease. But that entrepreneurship, which is perhaps when you see it's the building block of Silicon Valley, it's the building blocks of the new Chinese state, it's the building blocks of India right now. That small business is very critical. And, you know, those small businesses evolve into, you know, major, I guess, medium enterprise, and they grow into large corporations. So but I think that stepping stone is what is needed to fix that problem.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
My number is in the chat. If you need to reach out to me, call me anytime.
Okay.
All right, Tony. Answer your question?
Somewhat. We still have this residual burden of these 38,000 people who have to be paid. They can't be relocated from their jobs, and there's a huge unfunded pension, as you know about too.
Yep.
I just see it's a huge millstone around the Bahamian economy, and I don't see any way to deal with it.
Yeah.
You know what you suggested is a long-term solution, but it doesn't help immediately.
To speak to that pension, you know, a lot of people don't realize that pension is not added to the debt. And so the overall debt is excluded from the pension that the government carries. And so which through our debt, probably the 14, 15 billion. And so we have to look at solutions, but you know, it's about if we could find it's moving 35,000 people or a segment of that people into another workforce. How do we do that? We have to create the opportunity. And so they're not going to move from the government because the government already told them they're going to be permanent and pensionable once they did 60 years for the rest of their life. So these people will in quote unquote tug it out for 60 years until they get it's 60 or 30 years. How much pension? 30 years in government sector. And so, but then we got to provide other opportunities. And this is where, as if we create new avenues for them to move into different businesses, then we could be able to pull from the government sector into the private sector. But the government has created this mess. And because that mess exists, that burden we have to carry. And, you know, to pay all of those people and the productivity, it's questionable. And, you know, I'm thinking about a book called The ROI of an Employee, the Return on Investment of Employee. You know, is the government getting the return of investment?
But Tony, this is Alan Johnson. Just let me make a statement. You said about 100,000. It's almost 250,000 people in the workforce.
Thank you.
Yeah, the last audit showed almost 40,000 individuals that work for government or its government corporations, whether it's P&P, contract, temporary workers, etc., approaching 40,000 individuals. You're right, Cassius. The pension liabilities that is actually service from a day-to-day basis from government is closer to $5 billion. The only reason we are able to service that is because we pay that from the consolidated fund on a monthly basis. That's why it doesn't show up on our national debt structure. The Bahamas has been a tremendous diminishing return. And what happens is the fact that the Bahamas has always been the most, for the last 20-something years, the Bahamas has been the most digitally prepared country in the world. Freeport, if considered a country, would be the second most digitally prepared country in the world. Digital preparedness is not utilization. And as Cassius referenced the knowledge economy, we are now in the first convergence revolution, second digital revolutions, third technology revolution, fourth industrial revolution, and the now fifth social revolution. Never in history of these things have been aligned. The beauty that you speak to, and I think Cassius alludes to, is that we will never ever see this alignment in the next 1,000 years. And so as you move deeper into the knowledge economy, where ideas is the new currency. Remember they used to say, data used to be currency. Well, now we're in a transition now where ideas and the utilization of data, including artificial intelligence, is the new currency. And this is why if you look right now, you'll see all of the major giant companies like Apple and Google and Facebook and all of those things adjusting because the knowledge economy snuck up on them. They were busy collecting data. And now they have all of this data, but they don't have enough people to convert it into any value. And this is where we, as the Bahamian, can do it. There's that to run on, but here's what happens. The world is run on data right now. The Bahamas is the only country in the world to date that can provide constitutional data protection, constitutional data privacy, and constitutional data sovereignty. And that's like ASCAP and BMI for music, where people are looking for protection of their data as well as is being converted to this currency. And so the Bahamas is in a unique position to become the arbitrage, the middleman in the data economy that goes around the world. But we don't seemingly have these type of conversations. We talk about tourism. And again, tourism has been modified to the fact that the social revolution, the fifth social revolution, has changed the way tourism and hospitality. We use them interchangeably, but they're not the same. Hospitality is the experience people have. Tourism is what people do. And so, but we don't, in the Bahamas, we somehow have almost an anti-intellectual society that don't allow us to have real conversations that challenge the status quo. But there's no country in the world, I've been saying this for 2 decades, I challenge any professional, and I've challenged individuals that have come to the country as experts. I've called out major companies come as experts. We have spent $3 billion in the last 2.5 decades on technology, yet we can't get paperless documents. And so until we actually stop, pause, and examine where we are and where we need to be, the potential means nothing. It's not planted in the right environment or ecosystem, and that's our failure.
Very interesting. Thank you.
You have the good voice, Cassius.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Alan.
Hey, we've been in the vineyard for a long time, but hopefully somebody, now that the world is talking about the same thing we talked about 20 years ago, maybe people will begin to listen.
Yep. And so it is here now. The new revolution is here again, and I sure will embrace it. I will tell everybody as much as I could speak to embrace it. If they don't, then nothing I can do. But I'm going to embrace it, to monetize it, to make sure that it could benefit me. And I want it to benefit everybody, but it's up to everybody to embrace it.
Hey, Tony, once again, let's use an example, right? We use the example.
Sorry, excuse me. Sorry, we have to shut down the meeting.
Okay.
I'm so sorry, but we do have to shut down the meeting. So thank you so much, everyone. Cassius, thank you so much for your gracious time that you spent with us. And Mr. Stuart has left, placed his number in the chat. So persons would like to reach out to him, feel free to reach out to him. But unfortunately, we have to shut the meeting down.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Shut it down, please.